a good question came up in class, and the question was to do with the standard deviation of these three scores, 1, 5, and 9. Okay, if the standard deviation is meant to measure the average sort of distance of each of the scores from the mean, and the mean of these three scores, we'll work that out to be 5, okay? Why then was the standard deviation, when we used the calculator, why was it this number? You might think, hang on, standard deviations should measure the average distance away from the mean. The mean is 5. We have a 1, that's 4 units away from 5. And the 9 is also 4 units away. With average of 4 and 4 is 4. So that sort of lended itself to, sort of, I guess this, this question of where'd that come from? Well, why is the answer this? All right, so let's have a look at, see where did this particular answer come from? So let's sort of rephrase the question slightly. So why is the standard deviation, I'm just going to use that symbol, why is the standard deviation equal to 3.26598, sort of ... a few more decimals there, and not 4. And that comes down to how the standard deviation is in fact calculated. Right? It might look a little bit messy what I'm about to write next. Okay, so the standard deviation formula looks something like this. Okay, the standard deviation is equal to square root of, now the sum of, each score minus the mean of those scores squared over the total number of scores. Kind of looks like a bit of an average, doesn't it? So what you're working out then is you're going to each of these scores and working out how far away it is from the mean. Okay. So for example, 1 and 1 minus 5, the mean is 5. 1 minus 5 is negative 4, and we're going to square it. And the squaring turns a negative distance into a positive distance. Work out the average of all that, and then we take the square root to sort of kind of like to undo this squaring business. A bit like Pythagoras' theorem, when you take the square root of a square to get the hypotenuse, or one of the shorter sides. Okay. All right. So let's see then if we can apply this to these three scores and get this result, and see how that works. Okay. So how are we going to write it in this? Just using this example. This is sigma. It means sum of each score minus the mean. Well, what's equal? Each score. We got a 1 minus the mean, which happens to be 5, which happens to be one of the scores, squared, plus, sum means plus, 5 minus 5, the score and the mean happen to be the same thing, squared, plus 9 minus 5, squared. And we're going to take the average of all these three squares, right? So it's not just the distance, it's a square of the distance. Okay, so all those are going to be positive numbers. And then we're going to take the square root of the whole lot. It's a lot of work just for three scores. No, it's good that these calculators have a function to be able to calculate the standard deviation. All right, so let's enter that in. So hopefully you can see that. So actually, we'll take it out of start mode first. Square root. Okay, fraction button. So 1 minus 5 squared. Okay. I'll just move that over a little bit further. Yep, 1 minus 5 squared plus 5 minus 5 squared. Well, it's obviously going to be 0. Plus 9 minus 5 squared. All over 3. There you go. 3.26598 ... So the question to you now is, can you work it out with, say, 4 numbers? Of course we can. Let's pick another random 3 numbers. So find the standard deviation of, I don't know, 1, 10, 12, and 30. Okay. Now, of course, we can use stat mode on the calculator, and well, we can do that just so we can sort of see whether we're doing the right thing or not. Okay, entering in the numbers, shift 1, var. Var means variance, by the way. I didn't mention it in this video, but I did mention it in class, I remember. Variance is just this thing. Variance is the square of the standard deviation. Okay, we don't use it, at least for what we need to do in class. Anyways, 3, and what do we get? 10.52. Okay, so I might just write that as a little sort of check. It's a 10.521. There you go, 3 decimal places. Now let's work it out using the formula. Okay. All right, so sigma is equal to square root, and before we work out actually put in the values, what's one thing we need? We haven't put it in yet. Remember, it's the distance of each score from what? From the mean. All right, well, let's work out the mean. We need to work that out. So 1 plus 10 plus 12 plus 30. Okay, divide that by 4, and we get 13.25. So I might just write that here as well. X bar is equal to 13.25. We're going to need that. Right, now let's work out the deviation, or the square of the deviation from the mean. Okay, so first one is 1 minus 13.25 squared. I have to be able to squash that all in. 10 minus 13.25 squared plus 12 minus 13.25 squared plus 30 minus 13.25 squared. Yeah, squash that up there. Right. You can see it's kind of horrible, you know, when you start getting 4 or 5 numbers. I'm not going to have to fit it on the board. All right, we've got to be, no wonder we've got a stat mode on the calculator. Lucky we do, actually. All right, but this hopefully you'll be able to appreciate why we have one of these, and it makes life a lot easier when you're working out these sort of these repetitive kind of calculations where you're sort of constantly sort of doing the same thing over and over. Anyways, enough talk. All right, mode comp, square root, and fraction. Let's enter this mess in and see what we get. 1 minus 13.25 squared plus 10 minus 13.25 squared plus 12 minus 13.25 squared plus 30 minus 13.25 squared over 4. And we get 10.521. The system works. 10.521. That's rounded to 3 decimal places. All right, hopefully you understand a little bit more now about how standard deviation is calculated, why the deviation calculated doesn't sort of quite match what you think, as in the actual distance from the mean, and it's because of this squaring. All right, anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. Look out for some more videos.